Going on, guys? Welcome, Rabid here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Warthog. So if you're unfamiliar with Warthog, it is a pretty cool new algorithm that's available for miners that requires your CPU as well as your GPU to mine this coin. So almost think of it kind of like an AI rendering type of setup here, or rental platform or whatever here. But the one main thing you guys got to realize is CPU is the #1 priority when it does come to Warthog. So the purpose of this video is I think I may have found a pretty fast way to determine what CPU to match with what GPU. Now obviously, if you don't have a wider range of different types of CPUs to play around with their stuff, or you don't just have them, maybe only have a 3900X, maybe only have Epics, obviously just use those. And also, if you don't have different types of GPUs and stuff to play around with or to pair with different CPUs, then it doesn't really matter, just kind of use what you got. But if you do have, different types of CPUs, you have different types of GPUs, you're just like, what the heck do I do? What goes with what? How do I pair things? Where should I go? This is kind of for you to find a nice, easy way to figure that out. Now, there's still a lot more going on set in stone. A bigger GPU will be better, but you do get diminishing returns. And obviously, if you're buying stuff, don't buy a 4090 for a 3900X, or even for a 7950X for that matter, as the 7950X is severely bottlenecked and can't really support even the 4090. In theory, based on some of my testing here, a 7950X is even bottlenecked and can't even handle the full power of something as small as a 3060 Ti. So let's jump in and kind of show you what I found. All right, so let's go through what we're looking for. And here we can see Virus hash rate and SHA-Virus. So Virus hash rate is our CPU and SHA-Virus is our GPU. And what we kind of want here is to have these two close together. Now, depending on the hardware you put in your system for this rig, BZMiner actually does a great job of calculating what you have to match those numbers up. And usually your max Virus here, that is due to the worst equipment that you have, and that is most likely your CPU, as a lot of us are most likely bottlenecked. So right now we can see the 7950X paired with the RTX 4090 is doing about 1.1 gigahash on both sides here. I don't know exactly which one we want. Pool hash rate, which is just shares being found, this will fluctuate quite a bit here, is sitting at 1.62 gigahash. So this will be your average. Now we can see it's dropping already, but we can see we're about 1 to 1.1 gigahash. I am recording stuff, so it's a little lower than it should be. Stuff running in the background on my workstation, blah, blah, windows open, and so on. So keep that in the back of your mind. I do think 7950X and a 4090 pair is about 1.1 to 1.2. Some people might have 1.3 depending on overclock settings, but that's about the rough basis that you get here. So hopefully that's a nutshell. This is what we're looking for, though, is we want these as close together as possible, and BZMiner actually does that. Once you start getting large gaps between them, that's when you actually bottleneck yourself even more, and you'll start losing a bunch of hash rate at the pools. All right, so here's a screenshot from my Topai. As we can see, he's running an RTX 4090, but on a dual 64 core Epic. And we can see now that 4090 is indeed doing 3 gigahash. So I'm almost doing 1/3 of the hash rate having that in my 7950X. Coming into the SHA-Virus here, and the Virus hash rate, we can see the SHA-Virus is 205, which is your GPU, where again, BZMiner likes to mingle it perfectly, so it does optimize your hash rate and everything. And the Virus hash rate from the CPU is coming in at 197 with a max Virus of 232. So a lot closer together, and it really gets a huge increase in hash rate because obviously my 7950X is bottlenecked hardcore versus that 4090, where it is too big of a GPU for the 7950X when it comes to Warthog. All right, so there's a command in your bat file that you can run, and then you can actually see the max amount of hash rate that that GPU can do and your CPU to get an idea what to pair it with. So in your bat file, you can see you get all these CPU threads, Warthog max and Warthog Virus hash rate. So this is what we need right here, is this one Warthog Virus hash rate target. So we want to target a hash rate. Now this is just for an example to show you what it does. So I'm going to paste in here. That is in hashes size. So we're looking for mega hash. This is 20 mega hash right here. As we know, the CPU and the GPU can go beyond that at 48 to 52 to 54. So it should limit it. So I'm going to save this and run it and show you what those numbers look like. All right, so let's take a look here. I did limit that to 20 mega hash, and as we can see, our SHA-Verse as well as our Virus hash rate are both only 15.7 or so, way below of what they could be. They're both limited because obviously both of them can go beyond this. Our max Virus is still saying, 53.41. Here's an update, 19.5, 19.2. So right around where we did limit that. So now that you got an idea of how that command kind of works, I just wanted to show you that it limits it to each. We want to find out what is the maximum that our hardware can do. So now I'm going to readjust that to some stupid high setting. All right, so now I just changed it to some stupid high number like 5 gigahash here, because as we know, if your hardware is limited to something, it can easily do it. It's limited it down to only that 20 megahash. But if you put it to something way beyond of what it can actually do, it's going to max both of those out and give you the full hash rate number that your GPU and your CPU can do. And you can see how far apart those two pieces of hardware really are. All right, so using that command and coming into our SHA-Verse, which is our 4090 here, we can see it's doing 206. It was just at 201 before it updated there, but over 200 mega hash, where our CPU is still down to only 44. Therefore, BZMiner was tweaking this based on the CPU, which dropped the hash pair between SHA-Verse way down to ultimately make this better. Now, what we can also see is because we have such a huge gap now, because we're not optimized, look how much, our hash rate on our GPUs versus our CPU, our pool hash rate is extremely down. That's where BZMiner does the tweaking on its own based on its hardware to maximize your hash rate for this. So we can see kind of what's going on here, and that's a nice simple way to figure that out. Now coming into here, we can see Itopi now with the 4090, he's running around 205 mega hash, making this a much nicer pair here and getting such a huge boost in your hash rate. So using that same command to maximize it with a 3060 Ti on a 3900X, which seems to be a common combo for everybody, we can see that the 3060 Ti is doing 180 mega hash in SHA-Verse, which is more than what the 7950X is doing by quite a bit, meaning the 3060 Ti is too powerful for even a 7950X. Now we can see our hash rates and stuff here going on. Verus hash rate is 23. So now we got to find a CPU that's pretty close to 180 mega hash. And I went back to some of my Verus coin testing, Verus hash, and 8 sticks on a single 7742 is about 112 mega hash. Now the hash rate's a little bit lower when you're actually mining Warthog on this. And with that being said, I took the 3060 Ti, which currently running inside of here, we can see is doing around 445 mega hash or so on Janus. I put it into that Epic just to see how it could perform. And here we can see we're sitting at 960 mega hash. At times at the pool, we are sitting over a giga hash on a single 3060 Ti. So then I did some other numbers. I paired up a 3900X with just a little A2000. And we can see we are doing about 374 mega hash. So it is looking like it is all in the CPU, the GPU. Don't go out spending the money if you're looking to build a rig. Make sure your CPU is as big as you can possibly get in terms of cores. All right, guys, so that pretty much does wrap up this video, but hopefully it gave you a little bit of insight to determine what CPU to match with what GPU, and it definitely looks like the CPU is the major player when it comes to mining Warthog. So technically it's a CPU mineable coin with a little bit of GPU in there. So what the GPU actually does when it comes to Warthog is it's just filtering out a bunch of hashes and stuff, and then it sends it to the CPU, and the CPU is doing all the work and sending it to the blockchain and things like that. There's probably a lot of other stuff going on as well, but in a nutshell, that's pretty much what it is. You got a filter system, which is your GPU, and then you got your main workhorse, which is that CPU. The GPU isn't really doing much when it comes to Warthog, but it is needed in order to, mine it efficiently and stuff like that. So the major thing you are trying to do here is actually get your SHA-Verse hash rate, which is your GPU, pretty much the exact same, or as close as you can get it to, as your Virus hash rate, which is your CPU. And that's kind of what this command does do. So hopefully this did help you out, guys, in trying to determine, just get the maximum hash rate between your GPU and your CPU, and then go through all your CPUs and stuff. Maybe you got to test Virus out or something on them. Maybe I got videos on it, and you can just go there and look at them, or your hash rate for that. But that is how you're going to easily pair it up instead of putting GPUs onto CPUs and so on, blah, blah, blah. But keep in mind, if you have a 4090, throw it on your biggest CPU that you have. You have a 3080, throw it on the biggest CPU you have. And then as you go down between, I don't know how many rigs you guys have, what you guys all have, but obviously just put your biggest hardware together and then put your littlest hardware together. And that's the only way you can do it. Now, if you're looking to build rigs, obviously it's looking like even 7950Xs aren't even that great when it comes to Warthog. You're going to start wanting to look into Epics and 64 core type of CPUs, but then again, you're building out for just one algorithm. You don't have much diversification if you want to move coins. But again, we don't know what could happen. This is a pretty sweet algorithm, and I expect more coins in the future. Maybe they adopt this, and that'll allow this hardware and this video to grow and allow people what to do and how to build. So hopefully this helped you out. There's a lot more still going on when it comes to Warthog, but this is just a quick and easy way to determine what to match up with nice, fast, and easy. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Rabid out.